Hello to all our friends out there in YouTube land. It's your good buddy Philtastic here, looking disheveled, and welcome back to the channel. It is a Saturday here in New Jersey in April, you know what I'm saying, and it snowed this morning. I don't wear this to wear it, okay? Why do I mention that? Just to give you my mindset here. We had a early morning appointment for my wife, and we could not get a sitter, so both of the squad, if you will, are here, MT and MM. Guys, you want to say hi? Okay, you got a hi out of one. To be fair, the other one really doesn't say hi. Anyway, lately, I shouldn't say lately, recently, Regie collects, you know, Regie with 1G. Sometimes he's got a beard, sometimes he doesn't. Likes to eat Baconaters. Go figure. Put out a little video. I was going to say a challenge, but that's not the right word. On what makes a good comic story. And you know, there's been a lot of good points that Regie brought up. And I also watched Brian LCS, the Godfather's video about the same subject. And he brought up a lot of great points as well. So I figured, because this is the internet, it's my chance to weigh in with my opinion. So what makes a good story? You know, one thing both Regie and Brian commented on were dialogue, and in Reggie's case, prose, like the little internal speak. Now, I kind of feel like those little kind of internal thought balloons and whatnot have kind of gone the way of the dinosaur, why don't we say, in modern comics. I just can't, off the top of my head, think of a lot of comics where I've seen that, other than, hey, this is the location, or this is the time in some cases, or hey, this is translated from whatever. Editorial notes, I think they're called. But as far as dialogue goes, I know that Brian had asserted, see, that's how goofy I'm feeling today, I said asserted. Brian had asserted that too much dialogue can weigh down a story. I would argue that it's not a case of too much, and it's not a case of too little. It's got to be what serves the story. I'll give you two extreme examples. I've lately been reading my 90s X-Men books. I had a thought to try to read the first crossover I ever read as a kid, which was the Executioner's Song. You know, going across all of the X titles and trading cards, and very 90s. And one thing I had forgotten was how much dialogue Scott Lobel used to put into those stories. It was taking me about maybe 20, 30 minutes to go through one issue. And I remembered as a kid having to sit down, and it took days to read through my stacks, but I just figured all this time, hey, I was a kid, you know, you didn't read as much, and, you know, just naturally it took longer. Did it weigh down some of the stories? I have to say that some of the Peter David X Factor, while they're great stories, did drag a little bit for me in the modern day. I have to go back and read it. Maybe I was just tired. You never know. On the other end of the spectrum, when I got back into comics, I made in 2001, I kind of made a pledge, I guess you could say, for lack of a better word, to go beyond X-Men. And I started kind of just walking a little by little into the Avengers, and I picked up Iron Man, and Hulk was one I would pick up as well. I can't remember who the writer was at the time. It was during the Mr. Blue kind of storyline. But I really got into the Hulk comics, and, you know, that happened to be right before World War Hulk and Planet Hulk and all those good things. Immediately after World War Hulk, hey, can you not kick the seat, please? Thank you. This car has all footprints on it from my son. You good, MT? You good? Huh? High five? Okay. He doesn't want to talk today. It's early. Immediately following World War Hulk, you had the Red Hulk storyline, which was written by Jeff Loeb, and that ruined the Hulk for me for several reasons. But the main one was that he had so much few dialogue in it. I don't know if those made sense. He didn't have a whole lot of dialogue in it, which I get it. It's the Hulk. It's action-packed, but you could literally finish the book in 2 minutes. I remember going to All right, this was a picture book. No story here, just pictures. And that ruined the Hulk for me. So again, the first point I wanted to make is you need the right amount of dialogue. And what's that answer is whatever serves the story, whatever makes it go forward. The next thing, and in my mind, the most crucial part of what makes a good story is the ability for the characters to connect to you. This can be done whether, it's a superhero story or a different type of story. I've seen it done multiple times in the modern era. Why don't we say that? Look, you could pick up a Superman story and completely enjoy it, right? But when it makes that more human connection, I think those are the stories that me personally think that shine through. Examples of that, I said Superman. I was following Superman in Action Comics for a while, but for me, the Grounded storyline, which was immediately preceding the World of Krypton story, I think it was James Robinson who wrote that run, I could be mistaken, was superb. Still to this day, rings out in my mind. Hickman had half of a great Fantastic Four run. I say half because if you know, you know. The second half kind of like, did you start drinking? What happened here? But the first half, and you have to excuse me, I don't remember the issue numbers offhand. There were two standalone stories. One where, and I'll of course put them up here through the magic of editing. One where, I think it's in an alternate world, you see that the Thing is the last surviving member of the Fantastic Four, because as many of us know, he only ages one day out of a year. And a lot of reflection on how that could be a lonely existence. The second one, and I think it was about 2 issues afterwards, it read like kind of like a I want to say like a sci-fi kind of story, and you think, oh, they're in space, because that run was very space heavy. But it turns out, no, they were inside of Willie Lumpkin's body, and they were helping him fight cancer, literally. And that little twist and that whatnot, it was a nice little kind of emotional gut punch, for lack of a better word. And there's plenty of other stories, I have to say, that have just blown me away over the last few years. Tom King's Miracle Man, come on. I actually lent that to a friend. I'm just thinking now and have not received that back yet. King's Batman run, I know people felt a certain way about it, but if you step back and look at the bigger kind of picture, I think it was the most superb Batman story you can go, because it presents it with, this is how his story ends. And it kind of drew on me a little bit too, because it was like, this is how it ends, because Batman surviving and doing what he's doing is more of a tragic story than it ending, because he could never look, no matter how many bad guys he beats up, he's never gonna bring his parents back to life, and it's impossible for him to fight all crime, or is it? Anyway, if you haven't checked that run out, do so. It has everything and nothing to do with what I just spoke about.
Cool story, Hansel.
I'll say one thing that kind of goes under the radar, the Marjorie Liu's Astonishing X-Men run. And look, I know that this is maybe a little more information than I promised in this video, but you know what? Here you go. All for the same price of admission. What struck me as different with her run is that with maybe 1 or 2 issues, with the exception of 1 or 2 issues, she was dealing with like C and D level characters. One of which, whose name escapes me, was actually one of the Shi'ar. And she was only there for the run. You've never seen her before, never seen it since. I can't tell you the issue number. Again, if I think of it, I'll put it up here. I know that I spoke about it once on Gary B's channel. You really want a story that resonates with you, with a character that is like, who the frig cares about this character? Pick that one up. Just trust me on it. And the last thing, and in some cases, I think the most crucial part of telling a good story, is it fun? Are you enjoying it? Look, you can, without that, without having some sort of level of fun or enjoyment or entertainment in it, what are you doing to yourself? You put yourself in a miserable place. And I'll say this, the only example of this I can really think of was Daredevil in the 2000s. Hear me out. The series was reinvigorated by Brian Michael Bendis. I'm not saying anything that's out of turn here. Bendis ended his run. Brubaker continued a great run, made it darker, right? I feel like there might have been another writer in between, but then you had, and I want to say it was Jeff Parker, who went about as dark as you can get, where Daredevil becomes the, Matt Murdock becomes the leader of the Hand after being corrupted by some demon. I remember slogging through that last story, Shadowland, and being like, this is just, so depressing. I almost wanted to stop reading the book. But I'll say this, Mark Waid came in afterwards with Chris Samney for the next part of the run, totally 180, and made it an enjoyable story. Mark Waid's run on that is amongst my favorite for that reason. He showed how, yeah, this character got really dark, but he can lighten up significantly and it still be entertaining. Speaking of, by the way, what makes a good story, here's my plug. In case you didn't know, I illustrated a comic for the first time, Condrey, A Prayer for the Dead from Legacy Comics. Go ahead and go to legacycomics.com and check it out. It's a story of basically what happens in a man's last minute of life. What would happen right before, when your life flashes before your eyes? What are you going to see? You're going to see your greatest accomplishments? Are you going to see your greatest losses? Come and see how this man's last moment has affected everybody he loves and holds dear, and then some. Again, that's Condrey, A Prayer for the Dying, exclusively, when I can speak correctly, from Legacy Comics, that's with an X.com. I'll put a link in the description of this video. And by the way, hashtag Rainy Saturday for an entry into the Road to 1K giveaway. Are we there yet? The answer is no. Anyway, this is just my 2 cents. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Thumbs up if you did. Comment, tell me if I said something that you liked or something that you didn't like, because it's the internet. That's what people like to do. Thanks for sticking with me. And guys, thanks for being quiet. I appreciate you. High five. High five. She can't reach. Her arms are very small. Anyway, peace, love, and comics. Want to say bye-bye? Take care.